way into Doral, Florida. Earlier in an interview with CBS, the president said the war could be over soon, saying Iran has no Navy, no Air Force. Those comments helping Wall Street erase big losses. The Dow lost 239, the Nasdaq up 308, S&P plus 55. Oil prices went from nearly $120 a barrel, their highest since 2022, back towards $90 a barrel. The men who prosecutors say hurled homemade bombs near the New York City mayor's residence face federal charges.
Ibrahim Qayyumi and Amir Balat face 5 federal counts, including attempting to provide support to a terror group, interstate transport of explosives, and using a weapon of mass destruction. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said there's no mistaking the intent, by their own admission,
that they acted on Saturday because of ISIS.
U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton said the most chilling part is the suspect's stated goal.
That they wanted to do something more than the Boston Marathon. More than 3 deaths.
No injuries were reported. The local and federal investigation continues. A preliminary hearing for both is set for April 8th.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. VapoCool.
The yellow light!
God, I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. Back in the Seattle studios this week on Seattle Red 770 AM. We are streaming on the Seattle Red app. We got a lot to get to. The latest out of Iran, plus a left-wing blogger tried to get a local coach to throw a player under the bus for visiting the White House, and it is spectacular. It is amazing. I'm going to get into that and so much more. But first, did you know that the Democrats want to punish people who get married? Yeah, that's what's trending, brought to you by the Sunset Auto family.
What's trending? Let's get political.
It's very much, I think, on brand. Very much on brand for the Democrats here in Washington state to punish people who get married. And then when getting called out on it, they say, oh, no. It's too confusing to address. There is a provision in the so-called millionaire's tax, the income tax, that will be passed. It could potentially get passed during the show today. More likely, it seems potentially tomorrow. We'll see. But in this income tax is a provision that penalizes couples that get married. It is a structural inequity that Republicans tried to fix, but Democrats said, meh. So what is the bill? 6346, it's a nearly 10% tax on income above $1 million. And we've said this many, many times, that if you're, they say it's a millionaire's tax. It's not a millionaire's tax because you could be in a marriage and you as a household are treated to this tax. You are taxed as a household, not just as an individual. But in this, it's interesting. 2 single people who, and I'm making this number up. Let's say they each earn $700,000. Or in the case of Jackson and his future wife, she makes $997,000 and he makes 22 grand, something like that. Well, they get taxed on that number the second they get married. They all of a sudden get taxed. So if you've got 2 people making 700 grand, right now, single, under this tax, they are not hit by the 9.9% tax. The second they get married, they would owe 40 grand in new taxes.
Guess I'm going to have to take that ring back.
I know.
Sorry, honey.
We're gonna have to cancel the wedding. We're getting penalized. And Judy Warnick, the state senator, Republican from Moses Lake, she had noted this, as did so many other Democrats, and she offered an amendment that would remove the marriage penalty.
This was at the recommendation of the public accountants of Washington. They pointed out that the federal government got rid of the marriage penalty decades ago by a bipartisan vote. They also pointed out that before the marriage penalty was removed, couples would get divorced, so they didn't have to pay the high tax. And then sometimes...
Kind of talking about you, Jackson. This is a little early. You're pre-divorcing.
They'd remarry depending on what happened with the tax legislation. And if it went up, they'd get divorced again. So the accountants are telling us that it is an administrative nightmare for them.
Now, what's funny about this is it seems like a pretty easy fix, unless your goal is to penalize the couples who get married. That is the goal here. They want to penalize people who end up getting married. And so Senator Noel Frame, the Democrat from Seattle, my senator, unfortunately, she said it would, we would fix it, but it's too complicated. It's very difficult.
We are trying to marry this proposal with our underlying.
Was that a pun intended?
She could work for local newscasters. She can be a local newscaster with that kind of pun.
Tax code. And one of the things that we are marrying it with is the capital gains tax. We want to ensure that people that are paying the millionaire's tax, for instance, get a credit for the tax that they've already paid on the capital gains tax. Doing the same thing with the business and occupation and the public utility tax. The way that this proposal is structured is the same way the capital gains tax is
Incorrectly?
structured.
Is that what
so
she
as
means?
we layer them on top of each other from a tax administration standpoint, we want them to talk to one another, and this amendment would change that. It would have different treatment under the two different tax codes.
So, in other words, it's too much work. It's too hard. I mean, just put it in an AI software and just say, hey, make this make sense, and they'll do the work for you. They'll literally just do the work for you. It's not that difficult. But then she goes on to say, well, actually, the real reason why I'm against it, it's unfair.
Most of the tax code in the country has what I would call a singles tax. It's very expensive to live by yourself. There are great...
But you're in charge of tax policy. That's you. And we've covered the so-called singles tax before. So this is what I love about the argument coming from folks on the left. And they do this around race all the time and identity issues all the time. They say so-and-so, this policy disproportionately impacts, insert whatever group. They do that all the time. And oftentimes they do this around suspensions for black students or arrests. My favorite one is probably the arrest. They say there's a disproportionate number of people in jail who happen to be black relative to their population. So their response is not to go after white people who are breaking the law but somehow getting away with it, because the implication is white people are breaking law but not going to jail. They're like, no, we'll just release the criminals from jail who are black. That doesn't make any sense. So in this case, it's almost like the reverse of that. Well, the singles are getting screwed, so now it's time to screw the married people. Well, how about you don't screw anyone? How about we say we're going to make it fair for everyone involved?
Well, now you're asking too much.
It's just, I know. Just how dare you, Jason?
Advantages to being married and sharing expenses. In fact, our mayor in Seattle just put out something this weekend about the $24,000 a year discount you get on rent when you're married. I'll tell you.
Okay, no offense, but that is not a singles tax. What she's basically saying is because you now have someone who splits the rent with you, it's cheaper to live in wherever it is you live. Yeah, that's true. You could also get a roommate or two. You can become a throuple, and it'll be really cheap. So that's kind of a stupid argument.
From my personal experience, Mr. President, I didn't get married until I was 40. My finances got a lot easier when I got married.
Okay, were you hit with an additional 10% tax on income earned over $1 million? No. So she's saying, hey, I benefited from getting married. Now we're going to take away that benefit after she got it.
I was experiencing the singles tax, trying to pay my mortgage by myself when I was unmarried. There are a lot of advantages in this country to being married. There's a lot of disadvantages to being single.
Oh my God, these people. Seriously, it is quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
So the president right now is in Doral, Florida, answering some questions on the war against Iran or the military action against Iran. He's taking questions from the press. I thought we would dip in and hear what he has to say.
We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. You know, these were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill?
That's not
legislation.
legislation.
And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy. It's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. We want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America. And we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children.
Mutilation.
And we don't want that.
I do
so
like
we added those
utilization.
two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country, if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time.
Are you saying
You know, as an example, virtually nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it.
President.
Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Have to take him out. Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decimated?
I like the
and
idea of, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
So we'll keep an eye and ear on the press conference out of Doral, Florida. Again, the president saying right before we went to him that he expects that this military excursion will be done in the very near future. I hope people can understand the reason why he's calling it an incursion or, a military action and not calling it a war is there is a very specific legal definition behind war. And if he were to call it a war, even though you and I look at this and we would say, I certainly say war with Iran or against Iran, if he were to say it, it can get in the way of his Article 2 authority, basically essentially saying, look, because this is a short term, it's a limited set of strikes, under Article 2, I have the authority to do this without going through a declaration of war from Congress. Now, both sides have frankly abused that. Democrats have, Republicans have. I'm generally okay when it truly is something that's limited, even if it doesn't seem limited. Limited simply means the amount of time. It doesn't mean that, we're not going to throw a bunch of bombs at the adversary. So just as an FYI for anyone who was wondering, because that came to my mind when he said, I was like, hey, that's a good opportunity to tell people this, because otherwise you'll hear on, MS Now claiming he's lying about this war. It's obviously a war. He wants us to think it's not a war. No, there's a legal reason behind that. Anyway, we'll keep an ear on the press conference. Anything of note happens, we'll bring it to you live. Push the button.
What's trending? The sports ball.
This was pretty funny. We don't normally talk soccer on this show, and we're not going to talk soccer now. However, it did occur at a press conference ahead of a Sounders FC game over the weekend. They were playing St. Louis, I think, and they were just doing their normal get-together with mostly bloggers and a columnist over at the Seattle Times about the game. And there's this one left-wing blogger, I think it was a left-wing blogger. The voice sounded familiar, and I used to do work for the Sounders. I think, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to just out the guy as a crazy left-winger who is not a serious person and should be taken seriously, but this might be a reason. So there's a center back on the team. Do you know what a center back is?
Like a defender, right?
Yes. It's the opposite of Kenneth Walker III. So he's a defender. He's one of the two people standing directly in front of the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's injured. His name is Ryan Saylor. Last season, he was with Inter Miami FC. Last year, and Jackson couldn't stop talking about this, Inter Miami won the MLS Cup. Huge. And this is the team with who's on the team? Come on.
Messi, right?
The one player you know, Messi. So they win. What happens after you win, you go to the White House. So Ryan Saylor was on the team back then. Now he's been acquired by the Sounders. He's been injured, hasn't even played. He goes to the White House with the team. Might be a little bit awkward to go back to the team, but he earned that victory or helped earn that victory last season. So he's there. That was that. Now, the president made the joke about Cuba, and people on the left who are incredibly bad faith want us to pretend that he's threatening war with Cuba, which he obviously is not. But the left-wing blogger tried to turn this into a controversy with Brian Schmetzer, who is a left-wing coach, although he pretends to be a little bit more left-wing than he actually is. Listen to how this went. And the only thing, you can go to seattlered.com if you want to watch the video. His face is like, really, dude? This is what we're doing here? This is how you think you're going to get into a controversy?
What did you make of Ryan Saylor going to the White House?
Miami FC won the championship, and Ryan's part of that squad.
Was that something that he asked you about?
Of course he did. Yeah, of course he did.
And again, I just love the whole incredulous, like, why are you asking this dumb question, dude? Seriously, shut up.
And do you feel like that creates any sort of distraction?
No. Why?
By the way, I do, that's a bad faith why, because he knows exactly what this is about. Because, like, why? And I like that, because he's now goading the left-wing blogger into something bigger.
I mean, the president's joking about invading Cuba in front of the...
Okay, that's a political thing. That's not, I can't speak to that. Whatever the president does, I don't follow that.
But you're not worried about him being the backdrop for that kind of statement?
No, I'm not. No.
I love that. No. Let me translate. No, you big dummy. Get out of my face.
Can I go back to coaching now?
Yeah, can I go back to doing what I'm supposed to do? This was just manufactured outrage. The only outrage that I saw was from, because the base of the progressive movement, they like soccer, or they like that they can turn it political. I don't think they actually like the sport. I like the sport. I like soccer. Can't stand the fans. They're insufferable. And again, I worked for the Sounders as their pre- and post-game host for 3 seasons when they were on our sister station. I was an independent contractor with them. And I had to be surrounded by these people. Many of them are in the pretend press because, again, these are bloggers that are there, and they are insufferable. They are so annoying, everything about them, and they just don't even seem to really like the sport. But the only people who were upset were a handful of bloggers and some Reddit users. And if you're on Reddit, you're upset. That's
why you're on Reddit.
That's why you go there. So I really like this. And I will give credit to Brian Schmetzer here, who previously called me out when I called him out. Because this is the same coach who, when a previous center back, Javier, what was his name? I can't remember his name. Javier something. He was Arriaga. He was on Instagram and he posted a comic strip or like a meme that basically said the left-wing media is trying to convince your kids to become trans. It was one of those kinds of, not quite that direct, but that's what it was. And as a result of that, the coach said he would set Arriaga up with different partner organizations because his opinion on this wasn't correct. So basically sending him to re-education camp. That's what the coach did previously. And maybe he regretted it because now he had an opportunity to throw his player under the bus and he chose not to. And that's a good thing. That's actually a positive in my view. So this was handled correctly. This was handled correctly. Now I've got the video is really funny. And Alexi Lawless, who's a Fox Sports commentary analyst, he also was a former U.S. men's national team goalkeeper.
I thought he was I thought he was a back too or something. He wasn't a goalie, was he?
Yeah.
Alexi Lawless was?
No. He was a defender. Or well, I don't remember. I mean, he was a defender. I don't remember what position he played. There are a lot of players, especially the older ones, who are very conservative. Alexi Lawless is one of those players. And he just mocked this blogger. Didn't get the answer he wanted. And I saw a lot of people just jumping on this, including some folks on the left who were jumping on this. Like, really, dude, get a life. The video is up at seattlered.com. 1-800-465-8770 for your text messages. When we come back, we'll give you an update out of Iran. Plus, yet again, a bunch of Democrats celebrated women, this time the International Women's Day. Except still, they're unable to define what a woman is. We'll get into that and more when we come back. The Sunset Auto family are loyal supporters of Seattle Red and want you to know every single qualifying new and used vehicle comes with oil changes for life. It's going to save you thousands of dollars over the lifetime of your vehicle. So when you're ready for your next car or truck, visit our friends at the Sunset Auto family in Auburn and Sumner, online at sunsetautofamily.com.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners. But if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Spring is right around the corner, but the perfect time to start your outdoor project is right now. Natural Design Landscaping has been serving Seattle and the East Side for nearly 30 years. They design, build, and maintain stunning outdoor spaces, from full makeovers to weekly maintenance. Beat the spring rush and get your yard project started today. Mention Seattle Red and get 10% off your first service. Visit naturaldesignlandscape.com to schedule your consultation. Natural Design Landscaping, let's build something wonderful together.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the
IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait. And don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
John Curley here. Did you know a new heat pump is a smart choice for total home comfort? That's right. One heat pump does the work of a furnace and air conditioner. And if your system's over 12 years old, it's on borrowed time, and it could be costing you up to 20% more than today's ultra-efficient models. Get heating and cooling for the price of AC. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance. HomeComfortAlliance.com.
This hour of the Jason Rantz Show is brought to you by General Transmission Repair.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I was just telling Jackson during the break some of my adventures in the sky last week, and his interest level, he didn't even pretend to care. Like, you know how sometimes, and we've all been in the position where we're kind of nod along, but we at least pretend to be engaged, even though we have zero interest whatsoever in what it is they're telling. Like, half my conversations in life involve me pretending to care about what the other person is saying. 97% of my conversations with Jackson. But at least I pretend, and I think I sell it relatively well. You didn't even try.
No, I care.
No, see, you couldn't even sell that.
I'm just not very demonstrative, so it looks like I don't.
You mean you don't have a personality, which is true, but I can still tell when you have zero interest. I was telling him I'm on the flight back, and first of all, being seated was very confusing to a number of people. There were 4 people generally around me who sat in the wrong seat, which I don't understand how that happens. There was one person who was 2 rows off of where they were supposed to be seated. How does that happen? Seriously, that makes no sense. 4 people? I've never seen that before. And there I am seated, coming onto the flight. It told me that there was no one seated next to me. And then, bam, someone all of a sudden sat next to me, someone who was in the wrong seat. But now I'm wondering if they were in the right seat and they moved to an incorrect seat in all the confusion.
It always blows my mind, like, how utterly clueless people on planes are.
I don't. They sometimes act as if they've never been on a flight before. Like this is their first time on a plane, and they don't know. My favorite part is someone putting in the luggage incorrectly. You're supposed to lay it on the side like it's a book, and it kept happening to the point where the flight attendant said something along the lines of, "There's a graphic in the back of the overhead bin that tells you how to properly store your luggage. Could you please go ahead and follow the graphic?" That's how bad it was. So on the flight back, I'm pretty convinced that the flight crew, they just didn't want to serve us my Coke Zeros, because the pilot gets on and says that we're expecting a ton of turbulence. Now, I don't love turbulence. I'm a nervous flyer when it comes to that. I'm not a nervous flyer, but when it comes to turbulence, I get very uncomfortable. And I left my vagus nerve stimulator at home, which calms my nervous system. And so they tell us, and every time before I get on a flight, I make sure that I look up a turbulence report. So I know it says, hey, 2 hours in, it's going to get moderate to moderate turbulence. The rest is going to be smooth sailings. And the report said it was supposed to be fine, except until you get to the Great Lakes area. Then it would be moderately turbulent for a little bit. So as soon as we take off, the pilot gets on and says, we're expecting some pretty rough air over the course of the next couple hours, potentially. So we're going to have our flight crew stay in their seat. It's just not safe enough for them to get up. There was no turbulence for the 2.5 hours that we were not being served. But what did happen during all of this, someone by the bathroom got up and started to lay down in the aisle. First sort of seated on the floor, like almost head between their legs kind of thing. And then they laid back. And then there was a mild disturbance in which some people got up. The flight attendants were there talking to the people. And it seemed kind of serious for a bit. But then one of the flight attendants turned around. He started to laugh and he walked about. And it was just, the woman, I think it was a woman, was on the ground for like 15 minutes and no one said anything. First of all, ew, you're sitting on the ground. You're laying down on an aisle of an airplane, but you're also doing it right next to the bathroom, which makes it even worse. Because no one can aim in a bathroom on a plane, especially if there's any kind of turbulence. So there's pee all over the floor, and you're stepping in it, and they're stepping out of the bathroom, and you're just laying it. You think they clean that up? They don't clean that carpet.
No.
Of course not.
I mean, they say that they go around those UV light things.
Yeah, it's a lie.
I mean,
they don't do that. I don't think that that's true either. Even my favorite plane, I just assume, and I'm okay with that generally. Don't you think they should have said something? Because I kept looking like, first of all, I don't really care about whether or not the person's okay, if I'm being honest. I just don't want to have an emergency landing and not be able to get home. Because we're supposed to land at like 7:45. I had to pick up D'Artagnan. I got a dog. He was at boarding.
Oh, weird. No.
I know. We don't talk about that often. But the latest I could have picked him up was at 9 p.m. That was the cutoff time. And if we land at 7:45, I hop in a Lyft. I get home, maybe takes 25 minutes on a Saturday night. I was like, oh, God, we can't get delayed. Oh, please. But we weren't delayed. No one said anything. And I don't know what happened to this woman. I'm assuming she maybe felt a little nauseous. Which, had they said that, I could have given her a Zofran, whatever that, because I travel with that. Thank you, Dr. Oz.
I feel like it couldn't have been that serious, though, because if it was, they always do the thing like, is anyone on board a doctor?
I was waiting for an announcement to say, if anyone's, not to alarm anyone, but if anyone's a doctor, and then inevitably some dentist will say, I'm a doctor. And I'm like, well, not a doctor of teeth. We're talking about a real doctor. So he doesn't have a toothache.
If somebody has an impacted molar, we'll call you.
It's like, we have an impacted wisdom tooth. Is there a dentist on board? I feel like you should tell people what's going on. Because the entire time of the flight, I was just seething mad that I didn't get my Coke Zero until 3 hours into the service. And that they didn't tell us why this woman was on the ground. By the way, I was 29 years old for 15 years. When I realized you can just ask the flight attendant for a can of soda.
Oh, like at any point?
Yeah, did you know that?
I did not. No, I guess I'm not surprised.
Maybe it was the class of seats I was in, and I wasn't in first class. Sold out, and CNN doesn't pay for first class.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. But it was in the Comfort Plus, I think it's called. I was in the emergency row.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like Alaska has premium.
It's their premium. Although I will say, there's a lot of extra space in the emergency row. And this is the one good thing about Americans getting fatter than they've ever been, is you got to give them enough space to get off of the airplane that we're pretending is going to survive a crash.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a ton of extra space, and it's totally worth the $45 upgrade that you have to pay to get the seat. But I overheard someone on the flight there asking for a can, and the flight attendant didn't blink. Nothing. So sure. And so I was really nervous about asking for it because I don't want her to be like, you get a cup, which is basically all ice. It's all ice. You get 3 thimbles full of
I always
Coke
ask
Zero.
for no ice because.
But then, but I want it to be cold. It's never as cold as
I usually just get water, so I don't really care. But
I don't drink their water because it comes in plastic, and whatever. But they gave it to me twice.
Wow.
They gave me 2 not at the same time. They gave me 2 cans of Coke Zero.
How many times do you have to get up to go to the bathroom?
I pee nonstop on planes. I pee nonstop everywhere. That's the problem, and that's why I always have to get an aisle seat, which is my only rule with CNN. It's like, you're flying me out. I really appreciate that. You better book now, because if it's not an aisle seat, I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be seated on a plane 4.5 to 5.5 hours going, 6.5 coming back in the middle or at the window because I pee a lot. I'm drinking a tea right now.
I don't understand window seaters on it. The aisle is so much better.
No, here's the only benefit to a window seat. If you can sleep on a plane, is you can lay against the window. But the problem is your oily skin is touching the window, and now I can see all the oil and it's disgusting. All the dead skin cells and oil from your sloppy face is.
Some people actually are like, I like looking out the window. It's like for the 5 seconds we're taking off and landing. There's nothing to see.
You could see, especially at night. It's a cool. I will say, go landing at JFK because you come over all of the ferry boats. Mm-hmm. It is kind of cool, but I can see it from my aisle seat. I don't need to be at the window. And I always feel bad for the person in the middle, and I'm always praying to God. I pray when I know someone's seated because I'm always looking at the seat map before I get on. If there's someone in the middle seat, I'm like, please don't be someone who's,
rotund,
big. Please, God. And every time someone walks by, and this is what I do when I do want someone seated next to me in first class, I'm like, okay, please be attractive. They'd be wildly attractive. So at least I feel better about being seated next to someone. Be interesting and attractive or clearly wealthy or something. Everyone's walking by. I'm like, oh, God, please don't be this person. Oh, please, God, please. I don't ask for much.
Well, if they were wealthy, they would be sitting in the middle of it.
Well, not the wealthy at this point. For me, now I'm like, they're very fat. Or if they look like they might smell, like, please, God, no. Oh, no, no, no. And there was someone who was coming by. And not only was he big, he smelled, and I smelled him. He stopped right in front of my row. He looked at the seat. Then he looked up. I was like, oh, God. And he kept walking.
It's like a game of Russian roulette.
He kept walking, and I've never felt such relief before in my life. I was just like, people probably heard me go, oh, thank God. Oh, dear God, thank you. And then it turned out to be a little tiny Asian woman who sat next to me because she was in the wrong seat.
Oh, that's perfect.
And there was no one on my row that got up a single time during the flight back.
Nice.
That's 6.5 hours. Meanwhile, I got up 4 times because I had to pee.
That's why you get the aisle, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Not once. And it wasn't even because I give off the vibes of not wanting to be disturbed. Mm-hmm. I had my iPad out and I was watching them, which, by the way, is the only reason now to have an iPad is you can just put a bunch of videos on it instead of using the system, which I don't, because you have enough space to actually do that and you have more control over what you watch. Thank God I did that because the offerings on this plane, not great. There was not a whole bunch that I wanted to actually watch. And can I tell you, when you get a good TV series in the little system, can you give us more than just the first 3 episodes? Why not just give us the whole season? It's a 6.5 hour flight. It's a 22-minute sitcom. If I wanted to watch that, why would you only give me 3 episodes? You know what I ended up watching 1 episode of, and then I stopped because I didn't like it? Was Animal, what's the Joel McHale Fox show that supposedly takes place here in Seattle? Animal Control.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's awful. Why do people like that stupid show? The animals aren't even cute.
Is it still on the air? Or
I think it is.
Oh.
I think it has to be on the air to get to that, to only do 3 episodes. Otherwise, what's the argument to not get the whole season?
True, yeah.
And then I watched an episode of DMV, but I had already seen that episode. It's the one show that I sometimes watch because I have Paramount Plus stream. There was only 4, I think that one had 4 episodes. And there was only one that I hadn't seen. The rest I saw. So that's how bad it was. Sorry. I got to go back next week. It's March, and I've already hit my status for the year.
Well, there you go.
So that's a positive. I never thought I'd be doing that much travel to New York. I'm starting to feel bad when I go into the Fox News studios.
Does the flight at least feel shorter?
I will say, coming back this last time, it felt shorter. It did feel shorter. But now, every time I get to the Fox studio, people totally jokingly and in good spirits say, oh, what do you work here now? And then I'm like, am I causing a problem? They say it's okay, but I've been here in the last month. I've been there 3 times for extended stays, and I'm using their studios. Was that a slight, but delivered in a really fun way? The only person I usually talk to there when I'm there is Cookie, Christine, producer for Guy Benson, and we're Coke Zero buddies. I didn't intend to do 15 minutes on my flight. I apologize. We'll get to the news when we come back.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. Picture amazing photography, designer staging, and maximum exposure. With my luxurious marketing, you'll sell fast at top dollar and save thousands in fees for just 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
Those of you interested in building your very own shop, horse arena, or farm equipment storage, Pac West Arenas will provide your engineering and a kit if needed. A kit includes step-by-step instructions, unlimited communication, and a one-time 4-hour site visit from an expert. If you also need engineering, Pac West Arenas will guarantee it in 10 business days. Consult an engineering and kit expert. Pac West Arenas, your one-stop shop for all your pole building needs. Go to pacwestarenas.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz here to tell you about Legacy Group Capital. They are based in Bellevue. They've been there for like 20 years. And they're very, very, very good at what they do. And they do a lot. But one thing they're very good at has to do with real estate investment. Investment with Legacy Group Capital means an investment with a company that pays close attention to you and your goals. They focus on local real estate development, but they also do private lending, and they share profits with investors. You can invest in Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund, which offers a fixed 9% rate of return. And yes, IRAs are accepted. But it's not just about the Northwest Fund. In fact, go to their website, legacyg.com, and you can check out their family of funds. There is going to be one or several that's perfect for you and your investment strategy and your investment goals. LegacyG.com. You can also give them a call, 425-635-4700. 425-635-4700 or LegacyG, the letter G, LegacyG.com.
I saw her texting coming up to a stop sign. And so I saw the accident coming and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions. 855-996-0025 or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Whether you've done some preparation already or you're just beginning to plan for your retirement, it's never too late to make sure you have everything covered. Elder law attorney Rajiv Nagayach joins me. You have an opportunity coming soon that will help answer some important questions, don't you?
We do. And every month we take 3 or 4 opportunities to go to the communities and educate people about what proper retirement planning is. The notion of retirement planning around having a hodgepodge plan, working with a financial planner, a lawyer, a CPA, a doctor, those pieces by themselves are not going to give you the results you want in retirement.
And you and the LifePoint Law team want to teach us about the Safe Harbor Trust?
They do. The single biggest financial threat in retirement is an uncovered medical illness. A Safe Harbor Trust, it should be a must in most of these estates, but it's not.
Be part of the next seminar in Tacoma on March 10th, Bellevue on the 12th, Federal Way on the 14th, and Everett March 17th. Learn more and secure your space at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Monday afternoon. Happy to be back in the Seattle studio. The president just completed his press conference in Doral, Florida. And, you know, he mentions the kind of the potential timeline, I guess, for this military excursion into Iran. And again, we explained why he calls it an excursion, not a war. It's for the War Powers Act. And it sounds like it's coming close to ending. We've obviously been very successful in taking out their infrastructure. There's no one who's going to come away from this thinking that they're capable of any kind of nuclear enrichment program. We've not completely taken out their military, but their ships are at the bottom of the ocean. The IRGC is in shambles. The infrastructure to fire the ballistic missiles has been severely depleted. But it sounds like we're getting ready to off-ramp this. It sounds that way. He gave an interview with CBS News that said he expects it to be over soon-ish, and then he said this.
With your help and hard work, we're making America great again, and we're doing it much faster than we thought, and it's better, stronger, and our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil, and I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right?
Yay. Very, very good. I'm getting annoyed with the bad faith people who keep claiming they don't know what the objectives are in this war. And it was funny because we talked about this on the show on Friday, I think. It might have been on Thursday, where we went over the objectives. And the week before, we did that as well. And there I was on CNN, and Charles Blow kind of fell into a trap that I set. Not necessarily for him, but I was being asked about the military excursion. And I had a side comment that said, and, despite what some people say on the left, we obviously know what the objectives are, people pretending not to know. And that was a setup. I was waiting for someone to question me on that one. And it was Charles who goes, what are the objectives? Well, what are they? And so I went through all of them. And after I went through them, another liberal on the panel, Josh Rogan, said something later on. And, we're going to war. We don't have the objectives. I'm like, come on. You can argue you don't like the objectives. That's fair. That's reasonable. We can debate that. But they're claiming that we just don't know what the objectives are. And I don't understand that argument unless you put it through the lens of most people don't pay close attention to the news. But it feels like the president and Secretary Hegseth and everybody else has been pretty clear multiple times in their messaging around this. So the latest thing they claim not to understand on the left is, what do you mean unconditional surrender? So you mean you want to pick the next leader of Iran? Those two things are completely unrelated, at least from an unconditional surrender standpoint, which he mentioned on Air Force One.
Can you give us an idea of what unconditional surrender looks like to you?
By the way, is that a difficult concept to understand? What you don't understand what unconditional? It means you're surrendering without any conditions.
It's kind of in the name.
It's literally the word, unconditional.
I mean, what do you want from Iran?
I said unconditional, not conditional. I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer, there's nobody around to cry uncle. That could happen too, because we've wiped out their leadership numerous times already. So it's if they surrender, or if there is nobody around to surrender, but they're rendered useless in terms of military.
So you've got your objectives, and if they say, okay, we give up, we're meeting you on your objectives, we're giving them to you, that would be unconditional surrender. It's just always amusing where people know what he's doing is right, but they can't accept that. They can't explain that. They can't defend it because they're so anti-Trump. Bill Maher on his HBO show on Friday night said, yeah, I'm totally okay with it.
We bombed Iran, and it's going on. Now, have you expected me to say I hate it? I don't. Sorry. When he puts boots on the ground, yeah, then I'll hate it. Now, I know too many happy Iranian Americans. Sorry. And you cannot name one horrible thing that has happened in the Middle East in the last 50 years and not connect it to this fascist theocracy.
How hard is that to understand? Seriously. And thankfully, Bill Maher set Adam Schiff up for just a really embarrassing moment.
But this statement from the administration, the president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Let's see him weasel his way out of this.
About Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization. I and many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though...
he's the worst. He's the worst. Oh,
Shifty Schiff.
I love how he just doesn't even try to address his double standard there. He just moves on as if he didn't just get called out in a really embarrassing fashion. Psychopath. It's an absolute psychopath. Ugh. It's just so silly. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth was on 60 Minutes. Pretty clear when Iran is brought to its knees.
It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Typically, the understanding of a surrender is person to person. Is that what would be required in a matter like this?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Whether they want to admit it or not, whether their pride lets them say it out loud or not, it's President Trump who will set the terms of that.
Exactly. Really simple. 1-800-465-8770 for your text messages. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show on Seattle Red, online at seattlered.com.
Hi, Flo here from Progressive. You know, life changes quickly, so it's good to have flexible coverage.
Oh, you mean like adding another vehicle?
Yes, that's something we can do.
Great, because I was thinking about getting a van so we could just keep the kids' softball stuff in the car.
Oh, we don't need to get into specifics. Just saying it's easy to change.
Oh, and Hannah wants to try the tuba.
Again, we don't need the specifics.
Last year, she wanted to be a tap dancer, but that only lasted 2 lessons.
Okay.
But she kept the shoes because they are adorable.
Well, just know that with Progressive, you can easily add another car to your auto insurance because we know life changes.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-777-1225.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Homeowners, stop what you're doing right now and listen up, because Puget Sound Energy has new rebates that have never been this high. If insufficient insulation or no insulation at all in your crawl space or attic are impacting your energy bills, now's the time to get your free inspection from Northwest Crawl Space Services, because these PSC rebates could pay for up to 95% of your project. And that could mean thousands of dollars in savings on your job. But make sure you hire a crawl space company that's PSC certified, because not every company can offer these rebates. Don't miss out. Call today, and the team from Northwest Crawl Space Services are happy to give you a free energy savings consultation. Northwest Crawl Space Services will get rid of the critters, re-insulate your home, and hook you up with big-time savings and PSC rebates. Remember, these guys can solve any crawl space or attic problem, no exceptions. See if you qualify for savings from PSC. Go to nwcrawlspace.com.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastlake, 33 BU Seattle.
He
says the U.S. is close to finishing. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump talking about the military action in Iran at a news conference in Florida.
We're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
The president says Iran was ready to strike Israel and other countries in the Middle East, saying again that if the U.S. didn't act, Iran would have attacked the U.S. or Israel. On the Russia-Ukraine war, the president says he spoke today with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
There's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together.
The president says they also discussed the Middle East and says he told Putin he could be helpful by ending the attacks on Ukraine. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says Americans don't want a repeat of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Americans simply don't want that. And the brutal Iranian regime knows we don't want it either. So they won't be incentivized to negotiate.
Last week, both the House and Senate voted down a resolution that would have limited the president's military action in Iran. Federal charges filed against two men who authorities say threw homemade bombs near the New York City mayor's residence. Ibrahim Qayyumi and Amir Balat were arrested Saturday. They had an initial court appearance this afternoon.
The defendants are charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS, using a weapon of mass destruction, transporting explosive materials, interstate transportation and receipt of explosive materials, and unlawful possession of destructive devices.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton says the men said they wanted to do something more destructive than the Boston Marathon bombing, which killed 3 people in 2013. America is listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. VapoCool.
The yellow light! God, I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here live on Seattle Red 770 AM. We are streaming online at seattlered.com. We got a lot to get to this hour. There's a new bill that looks like it's going to become law unless you guys step forward and speak out, that will bring homeless encampments into permanent supportive housing units in your communities, and you'll have no say about it whatsoever. None. You won't be able to get in the way. So Marcia Michaels from the Discovery Institute will stop by in a bit to explain. But first, this is a little ironic. The Seattle Civil Rights Director apparently isn't very civil. That's what's trending, brought to you by Legacy Group Capital, Common Sense Lending.
What's trending in Seattle?
You don't see this every day, but I definitely believe it. The Office for Civil Rights in Seattle is so committed to workplace justice that it might have created the least civil workplace in city government. It's really kind of funny. Of course, we're talking somewhat different kinds of civility, I guess. The director, Derek Wheeler-Smith, has been put on administrative leave along with his deputy director as the city investigates these different allegations from staff members that include discrimination, harassment, retaliation, and generally acting like the HR training video nobody asked for, but they make you watch. It's like, here's a really bad example over the top to make a point. Apparently, it's not all that over the top, according to the allegations in Seattle. The current report says He's been accused of ignoring concerns from Asian American, Latino, and LGBTQ2IAS plus communities, imposing his personal religious views at work, retaliating against staff, and sending misogynistic jokes and a vulgar meme about Kamala Harris to male staffers. I like this guy. I'm a fan. Never mind. We were going to make fun of him. I think that this is outrageous. I think they're out to get him. I think this is the shame on the city. This is a witch hunt. I mean, they're just some memes. Who cares? I mean, come on. What was the meme? They don't even say.
I feel like if they were memes about a different politician, then maybe he wouldn't have gotten so much trouble. But
no, I totally. It doesn't. Oh, okay. Now they don't show the meme, but it says a meme suggesting Kamala Harris rose to her position by performing a certain act.
Yeah.
So I'm outraged that they're going after this black man. I think it's important to note that this is the Office for Civil Rights. So there is some. How conservative can this guy be to work in Seattle at the Office of Civil Rights? Because the way I read sort of in between the lines on some of this is, especially when they say he apparently tried to use or influence people by referencing his personal religious beliefs, doesn't that indicate to you that they're trying to say he might be conservative by, quote unquote, imposing his personal religious views on department activities?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of religious views is he imposing on people?
He's a Zoroastrian.
Right? It just seems kind of weird to me. According to Publicola, staff complaints got serious enough that an outside investigator is now involved. But, you know, even though this is dramatic, because the process still has to go through the normal procedures, they say that the investigation itself is compromised because he reportedly contacted HR himself over what he called false allegations before the complaint process really unfolded. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. He's just defending himself. Oh God, I'm standing in his corner. I don't want to see another black man get attacked by the white supremacy culture in the city of Seattle, and that they're going after him, a black man. Did I mention he's a black man?
And they already ousted our biracial mayor.
This is so disturbing. So disturbing.
What happened to this city? We're going backwards.
And you know what? Silence is complicity. Okay, if you're silent, first they came for the civil rights director, then they come for the rest of us. Come on, this is funny. This is so funny.
It's funny.
It is. And I wish him all the best of luck. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Who cares?
I care. How dare you? First, they go after the director of civil rights. Then they come for the international women. Whatever that even means.
Apparently this whole segment is just about lacking empathy and sensitivity.
I'm disgusted. I know what I was doing yesterday for International Women's Day. I attended a rally and a march in the middle of the rain. I said, you know what? Some discomfort is nothing compared to standing up for my sisters in the fight. Did you know that it was International Women's Day? What does that even mean?
Very vague and broad.
How do we celebrate it here? So in France, they celebrate women in America?
I guess,
in America,
yeah.
we celebrate women in France?
Well, I don't think it necessarily excludes your home country. It's just...
Well, it's not international.
Well, it's including everyone else, too, in addition to, I think.
Well, that would be national.
Well, not if you're including other countries as well.
If I'm celebrating in the United States International Women's Day, does that not mean I'm not celebrating American women in this country? They're not international women.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I guess it depends on how you put the, like.
It's called, what is it called?
International Women's Day.
Are you international as a woman if you are in the state of Washington?
No.
If I'm celebrating International Women's Day, people got really upset with me that I was telling all the women, get out of here. This is not for you. We're supposed to be celebrating International Women. So there was a bunch of rallies. There was one kind of big one in Seattle, I guess. Como was there. They spoke to one woman who couldn't quite articulate why she was there and what she was protesting while there.
We all are here, like any woman, like no matter like your color, where you come from, we are fighting for something, and we all have same problems and different problems at the same time. So all voices are matter.
What?
Sign? Where do I sign? Yeah, it all sounds great.
But what? What did she say? I don't understand what it was she was talking about.
Me either.
Okay. Oh, here's some more.
I think there's more at stake when it comes down to it. More of our rights are being taken away.
What rights have been taken away? Can someone tell me that? I know the talking point. I'm sure there were some women who were dressed as handmaids there, but what exactly are the rights that have been taken away from women in this country?
They'd say Roe v. Wade being overturned.
That's not recent. And you've gotten more abortions since then, not fewer. So I don't know what you're talking about, ladies. And I do see that we've got a war, being waged right now in Iran. And I imagine there are probably some women there who are feeling some semblance of hope for the first time in decades, that maybe they'll be able to take off the compelled or the compulsory hijab that they have to wear. You think is that? But you're all against that. You're siding with the Ayatollah. You're upset that the Ayatollah was quote unquote murdered in this illegal war.
And the fear of that continuing.
Somehow we need to fight for rights we thought we would have had 50 plus years ago. It's frankly kind of wild that we still don't have all of those rights at all right now.
Strength. I think that rights. If we stand up and say what's going on.
You know what happened immediately after they dared to speak their truth? They were immediately arrested.
And scooped up into an unmarked van.
I saw someone, I don't know if it was ICE. I mean, it said ICE on it, and they were wearing a mask, so I'm not sure. And they were put into an unmarked vehicle.
Well, all the protesters were wearing masks too, so.
Yeah, I was actually confused as to whether or not it was real ICE or just an activist who was doing a show.
And kind of fight up against it, we're going to make a better message than being quiet.
Oh, okay. Did we learn anything about any of that?
No.
There's nothing? Well, not even a little bit? It was just some people who decided to get together because they were bored on a rainy Sunday. I saw that Maria Cantwell posted a statement on her X account. I saw that Bob Ferguson did the same. And they were almost identical statements, something about standing up for women everywhere. And my response was precisely the same response I had before, because February is Women's History Month, and you had Bob Ferguson post his silly video with his wife, who almost looked like she was being held.
No, March is Women's History.
March, excuse me, not February.
February is Black History Month.
Yes.
It's hard to keep up.
There's so many months. And when is Jewish American? May, I think?
Yeah.
Jewish American Culture Month. So, you had both of them put out the statements, and I had the exact same thought I did the last time they all did this, where, you talk about gender equality, you make this speech. It was probably the same exact statement you put out last year and the year before. You just changed a couple adjectives around or something, or pronouns, I guess. And I kept reading these things and saying, yeah, but you can't or won't define what a woman is. And yet again, you're defending the rights of and celebrating the accomplishments of a group of people that politically you choose not to defend from a policy perspective and cannot simply define. If you can't define what a woman is, and I don't even need any kind of biological explanation. I don't need you to know how many chromosomes someone has and which one. I don't need any of that. I just don't need or can't accept the definition of a woman as being someone who identifies as a woman. That's not the definition of a woman. Just say something about biological fact. Just say biology determines this. And I'm totally okay with that. They won't do that. And beyond that, they're okay pushing policies that allow biological men to invade private spaces of women and girls. And some of the issues that they're taking on, these are like 90-10 issues. Boys competing against girls. 90% of the entire, probably 97% of the entire globe is on the same page of that. But anywhere between 80 and 90% of Americans are on the same page. Washingtonians are on the same page on this. And yet the Democrats are unwilling to simply say that we should be drawing a little bit of a line. They're unwilling to hold that position. They back policies that allow biological males to go into women's locker rooms, women's shelters, to sleep next to women who in some cases are fleeing an abusive husband. You're allowing them to compete in athletic competitions, sometimes not even telling the opponent that they're facing in a wrestling match a biological boy. You cannot honor women as a category while simultaneously refusing to define the category. You can't do that, or we shouldn't allow them to get away with it. And I would say that not just Washington women, but women all around the globe deserve politicians and activists willing to, at a minimum, say what they are before pretending to care about them. Call me crazy, call me someone who is too nitpicky on these issues, but that's where I stand. And I'm forever going to call these people out for engaging in this kind of stuff. I will forever call them out. They want points for simply giving off the impression that they care for women while they're doing everything they can to erase them. That seems wrong and immoral. But again, who am I? Who am I to say anything? I'm a cisgendered man.
You're Jason Rantz.
A cisgendered man. I say that with my head hanging in shame. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
There's a House bill that hasn't gotten a whole bunch of attention, although it should, because House Bill 2266 would effectively force your neighborhoods to accept permanent supportive housing units. Permanent supportive housing units, not temporary, permanent, which means the folks who are going to live there, many times they are not just homeless because of no fault of their own. Many times it's because of drug addiction. It's because of mental health issues. It means they're going to stay there for the rest of their lives. And if they happen to move out, they just get replaced. This is going to happen in your communities with little to no say from you or the people that represent your communities. Joining me on the line to discuss this is Discovery Institute's Marcia Michaels. Marcia, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me, Jason.
This bill has already passed both chambers, but there were a ton of amendments, meaning it has to go through one last vote. Presumably, they actually do get this done this week. What does the bill do that has you so worried?
Yeah, so House Bill 2266 has been moving through the legislature this session, and it has now passed the House, and then it went to the Senate and passed, but they added some amendments, so now it's back in the House this week. And the bill basically overrides, actually not basically, I mean, it is literally, that's the language of the bill. It overrides local ordinances and zoning to allow permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, and emergency shelters in any community, anywhere that residential zoning is allowed.
When they say permanent supportive housing, and you heard my take at the introduction, am I overstating it at all?
No,